Well, let me get myself adjusted. No, I need no. Okay. Well, we don't have anybody in here yet, but I gotta adjust that mic a little bit better. Uh, gotta have to get my Frogzilla in there. uh, oh, there's Ben Tipton and maybe Motorbob, Virginia. Get the old microphone over in here. I don't know if y'all can hear me. Let me know. Yeah, it's raining. It's been raining for a couple of days. Hey, Motorbomb. Has my okay? You can hear me. Okay. Well, we thought we'd get on, let everybody know that the water got deeper, and well, it's just it's that time of the year, and so we just can't go riding. So if we can't go riding, we might well get on and talk to our friends. Or to adjust that camera a little bit better. Just bear with me. Let me get that camera adjusted better. The thing's being contrary. I got the Frogzilla all in there. Yeah. I got some more merchandise coming. I've ordered from different small channels, and we'll be wearing that as we get it. I had my little dog in here a while ago, but he's not in here right now. We got a thunderstorm coming pretty quick. Maybe I can bring it up on my phone here, but it's going to be wet rest of the evening. Currently at 62 degrees. We had tornadoes in the area. I got up this morning. Well, the storm came in here at about 2 o'clock in the morning. No, 6 o'clock in the morning. And so the room was all lit up with lightning, and it was popping and snapping and thundering, and the wind was blowing. First, the wind started blowing really, really hard, and then the thunder and lightning started. So it was really pretty. I love to sleep when it's when it's storming. I got a metal roof on the house, and it makes for some good sleeping. I hope you guys have been okay. Well, Motorbomb's got extra warm and some rain up in Virginia. I thought I would get on and do a live because there's nothing on TV, nothing I want to see. I watched a couple of sci-fi movies, a little shorts, not a big long featured film, and caught up with all my regular show. I watched Cletus McFarlane this morning, Um, several of the shows I like to watch, and well, they got pretty weather down in Florida. It's rainy in some places, but the boy over in Georgia, they called hell. That thing hit us this morning at 6 o'clock. It moved over in Georgia, and there was tornadoes on the ground there in Georgia, according to my weather. You know, it's been a number of years ago, but in January, I don't remember what year it was, probably 10 years ago, maybe 15 or 16. Um, a tornado killed a whole bunch of school kids down in Enterprise, Alabama. So you just never know. Hey, Mark, it's a Mack and Angelique show, but there's no Angelique. She's off. She's in yonder doing them dishes. That's the reason women. That's the reason women have them little bitty feet like that. Little tiny feet. That's the reason God gave them little feet so they can stand up closer to the sink when they're washing dishes. That always wins the ladies over. uh, I guess my family's all doing well. I haven't heard anything lately from any of the family. I mean, nothing, no bad news or nothing. So I guess they're all doing well. My family is scattered out across the country. Oh, there's my sister. Look right there. It's 82 in Florida, she says. 82 in Florida right now. Going to be 83 today. There's Sick Bastard. Hey, Sick. I've been on the TV. I've been seeing a lot of different shows and stuff, and I do hit the like button, but I don't have my keyboard. I can use my microphone to type, but have you ever tried to type on your remote? You got to get it up on the screen and you got to move the little letters around. It ain't worth it. So I just hit the thumbs up when I see something. Hey, brown chicken. Look at brown chicken all up in here. I appreciate you folks taking the time out here on this Saturday afternoon and come and have an afternoon coffee with old Mack and Angelique. You know, of course, Angelique ran up to get the mail yesterday. And so I went outside and recorded her. You saw my little short of her coming back through the water. There was no way to get back to the house. We have over on the north end of the house, it's all underwater over there, all the way out to the bamboos, all underwater. And of course, going up the hill, there's a lake halfway up there. There's a pond that's all the way across the front part of that yard. And we can't close it off. The reason being the county has declared that's a natural water release for the lands above us. So we can't, I thought about putting up a barrier up there by the fence and make the water stay over on the neighbor's property, but can't do that. So I had to go down in the bamboo and cut me 2 3-foot wide channels to drop it down off the hill. I had to go get a backhoe and get in there and cut 2 big channels, and so the water can come down and it flows between the house and the carport over there. The water is like a little river. It flows down through there, and it flows into the bamboo and down off the hillside. 77 in North Carolina. This is unusually warm weather. We've seen it before. Usually when you begin to see these kind of weathers in January, You better hold on down here in the South because hell, a tornado can spring up in a heartbeat. Sterling will. 90 degrees in Florida, where he's at. Thomas Bailey. Well, Happy New Year's to you too. I'm sorry about my pitiful looks here, but I've been out in the rain. I've been outside. My hair is all wet and stringy, but um, I you got to go out and do things. And um, I had the water is coming under the carport, and you got to move stuff back. I make sure my air compressor. Well, anything electrical I got out there, I try to move it around so it don't get underwater. Oh, you're going to Savannah? I love Savannah. Back in the day when I was truck driving, I always tried to get a route to Savannah. Well, when I did get to go to Savannah hauling, I would be ending up arriving at 1 o'clock in the morning. And I always wanted to go so I could go over to Paula Dean's restaurant there. I always watched her on TV. That's a fine woman. I ain't kidding you. I mean, her cooking. I mean, she uh, she cooks the way I like. She uses a lot of butter. You can't go wrong with butter. She's a little butterball. She got that fine looking southern smile on her face. She's got other place. I believe there's one. She's got a Paula Dean's um, up in Missouri. What, Bronson, Missouri? She's got I think she has one up there, but I never did get to eat at her place. I like what I like about she's a Southern woman, kind of like reminds you of your mama. Now she's a lot of she's younger woman, of course, but kind of reminds you like your mama. Cooks the way you like. But I never did get to make it to a restaurant. I always wanted to do so. I used to love to go to when I would go to Macon, Georgia. We used to go out there to the air base, uh, Warner Robins. I used to haul out there for that uh, where they made motor coaches. Out there, they had those big NASCAR like motor coaches. They got the school bus, the Robin, the school bus company out there too. But I used to haul for the motor coach stainless steel sheets that was precisely cut or laser cut or whatever, and they were done in Alabama. And I used to haul them down there uh, to that motor coach place. Yeah, they got a lounge you can go in, when you're trucking. There might be 4 or 5 trucks ahead of you, whether you have to load or unload. And you go in the lounge and you see Loretta Lynn and what? What? What am I seeing over there? Oh, come on, man. God, that's just uncalled for. That is rude, man. That's rude. Motorbomb, give him a little round of applause. Um, don't even know what it means, but I love the smiley little girl with a heart on top of her head. Her hair turns into a heart. You're a one of a kind. 2-4. When I'm elected to president, now there's going to be a chicken in every pot. Oh, good. Oh, that's really good. Well, That flu has claimed a lot of people. I mean, a lot of people got down with it. Um, I haven't even had my flu shots or nothing yet. Usually, I go to the doctor in January, and then I have to go back in June or July. And I've been about the ear thing, but I haven't been for getting any flu shots or stuff like that. I can get them over at Walgreens, but if I get them through the doctor, I don't have to pay nothing. Well, when you get oh, it's a pneumonia shot. I don't necessarily get a flu shot, but I get the pneumonia shot because for a person of any kind of age, hello, Carrie, any age on them, pneumonia is a big killer. It kills a lot of people, a lot of older people. And there is Mr. Cawffee himself. Well, I don't know what to do. I mean, I see Motivon, a generous human being that he is. He's got, well, you guys give him a big hand. Yeah, it could be a killer. Carl, at his age, of course, he has to be careful too. Clap, 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 clap. Yeah, Carl, at his age, he has to be really careful because you can really live a good life and do everything right and eat the right food and everything, and then catch the damn flu or the pneumonia, and you go belly up. I want people when they come to my wake, I want them to look at my old Mac laying up there on the slab and they go, for a dead man, he ain't looking bad at all. uh, I'm gonna be Angelique's gonna perform the ceremony of shake and bake for old Mac. He's gonna be put in the deep fryer. Oh wow, that's dangerous. I'm glad she's doing better though, Sterling Will. Yeah, the old Southern shake and bake. We had another family member that was cremated, and Ruth was my wife, and Angelique. She's already. We got a little old place. I have a four passenger. I have a four passenger plot, burial plot, but I'm not going to be buried in it. But there's two urns up there that you put ashes in. It's on my mother's tomb. So Angelique's gonna go up there and dump old Mac in one of the urns, and she's gonna put a handful of some good hemp seeds in there that be blooming all over Mom's tomb there, and they should. I already produced some good buds. I ain't kidding you. Get you senior discount. Yeah, we were checking out over at Lowe's, and so the lady says, and Joe was with me, and the lady says, "Well, that'll be all." And Joe says behind me, she said, "Did you get your military discount?" I said, "I don't do the military discount thing." She said, "He's." Oh, she said, "Oh, you're military. Well, let me." I said, I don't want to fool with it." "Oh, come on, sir. It will only take a minute." I don't want to fool with it." once we get you into the system, every time you come up here, you'll get a nickel off every $100 you spend. It's going to save you a lot. I go, I don't want to fool. She's only going to take a couple of minutes. So hour and a half later, we walk out with a discount. And I tell Joe, I go, don't do that. I don't want to do that. I mean, um, there's a whole line of people standing right behind me wanting to get their stuff checked out. And and there was only one register open there at Lowe's that day we was there. So after that, we decided to go eat at the Golden Corral. So there was, of course, me and Angelique and Joe. We stepped up there, and she said, two adults and one senior. That's what the cashier lady said. And Joe behind me says, and his military discount. I go, no. I said, ma'am, skip the military discount. There's a line, 30 people behind me. We ain't going to do that no more. God damn. Penny. Well, that is true too. But when it comes to eating, boy, when I'm hungry, I want to get through the line. So I was up at a restaurant in Forestdale, Alabama. If I can remember the name of it, it was a popular buffet back in the 90s. It's gone now. All of them are all gone. So I get up there. I've got a party of six, and I'm buying lunch for a party of six. And at that buffet, it was for lunch buffet was say $6. I'm just saying that when back in the 90s, say $6. Six eights or $8. I'm sorry, $8. 6 eights, 48, right? So I give her $50. And she gives me 20 back. I go, that ain't right, ma'am. She said, what are you saying? I go, ma'am, that's not right. She said, just a moment. Boy, she started and gave me $8 more back. I got now $28 of the 40 I gave her. Quincy's, the name of the restaurant chain was Quincy's Buffet. And I go, thank you. Oh, my God Almighty. No wonder later I said, no wonder they went out of business. No, it wasn't Golden Corral. It was Quincy. Quincy. Now, Golden Corral is still operating. And every time I go to Golden Corral, I got to have the ear of corn, gobs of butter on it, and pepper, salt and pepper. And that's the only place I know I can get jalapenos. I can get the big deep fried jalapenos, whole jalapeno deep fried, and I can also get the ear of corn almost every time you go up there. You know, 24, you're gonna be my vice president too. I mean, man, me and you could what an empire we could build. First thing to give us a solid budget, we're gonna take all your beer bottles and we're gonna take them in and cash them in 3 cents a bottle, and you got them stacked all the way up to the ceiling. Those Alpine beers are bringing 3 cents a bottle. We can make a fortune. No, I understand. But the old ticker, the way it is with you there, I think you had to cut back on a little bit of the cool, refresh beverage, adult beverage. We had a buffet up in Washington State. It was called Grandma's Buffet. It was in Puyallup, Washington. No regular people know how to say Puyallup. When they see it on the map, they say Puyallup. The truck drivers, yeah, I'm pulling on up. I'm pulling the load up to Puyallup. Yeah, Puyallup. Grandma's buffet. It had all the good stuff. They had fried fatback. This is in Washington now. See, up there at Fort Lewis, there's a lot of rednecks that gets their training at Fort Lewis, Washington. And when they get out of the Army, some years later, they stay in the Northwest and they start a barbecue place. In this case, Grandma started a buffet, and she had fried fatback and cornmeal. She would roll that fatback. Fatback is white meat, or it has so many names, and they deep fry it, with cornmeal on it, and it's crispy. Oh my gosh, yeah. They I remember, and I know Sterling well remembers this. When you went to Las Vegas or Reno back in the day, the idea of going there, they had a dollar buffet, $2 buffet. When it got up to $2, people go, "This is outrageous, outrageous!" I tell you. But you could get a breakfast buffet there in Reno, Las Vegas for a couple of bucks, everything you could eat. And man, we'd gamble all night long. And before we hit the road going back to California, we would go over and have one of them morning buffets. Man, it was good. One time I hauled a load of stainless steel tubing to Tunica, Mississippi. I had a complete flatbed, as much as you could pile on the thing, strapped down, stainless steel tubing. And so when I pulled up there, it was delivered to a casino. Oh, look at what Sterling Will said. Sterling Will said now a buffet in Nevada is $29 damn. But see, I'm talking about back in the 60s and the 70s. See, when I was there, back in our 60s and 70s, there was no speed limit, and price of food was unbelievably good. Well, the gangsters run the place, and the way they get you there is that you have a $4 a night motel room and a $2 breakfast, and then spend the rest of your money on gambling. Man, it worked for me. Yeah, oh man, we used to have such good time. We used to come, would be in Madera, California, and we'd be on our bikes in Madera. Me, my brother Robert, and my brother-in-law Ray, and we'd be over there in Madera, and it'd be 98 degrees in the San Joaquin Valley, and we'd all be sweating bullets. Man, it'd be so hot. And about time the whistle blow, it's time for us to get off work. We'd been all day looking at the Sierra Nevadas, and you say, "Anybody want to go to Carson City?" Oh, hell yeah! So we would take off from Madera, California, and go up to Mariposa and go up to Yellowstone, Yosemite, and then make a left and go up over Tioga Pass, 11,000 foot over the Tioga Pass, drop down into Carson City, gamble all night long, then ride back the next day. We'd sleep whenever we got. Every time we'd stop at a roadside rest, we'd put our head on a cement table and go to sleep because we were tough. It sounded good. Your bug did too. I was going to tell you that, Sterling, and it looked good. Oh, you come in off the road after 6 weeks out on the road and come in, and next morning you put your engine in. I mean, you ain't wasting no time. He who rushes to an early grave doesn't enjoy the time he saves. Burma shave. None of you people are young enough to remember Burma shave. Oh, 10-cent steak. Oh, okay. When we was young, you could get 10 loaves of bread for $1. $1 now. That's 10 cents a loaf for bread. Merita. Merida Bakery in Birmingham, you could get 10 loaves for $1, 10 hamburgers for $1. That's a dime, one 10-cent piece. You could get a at not Montgomery Ward, but some of the five and dime stores, a Woolsworth in Birmingham. 58 cents got you a blue plate special lunch. That's meat and two vegetables for 58 cents. And all your drink always come for free. You know, your coffee. Who would ever think about ever charging for coffee? That would be, you'd be dumb to pay money for coffee. I mean, you'd expect that when you went out. And it's the same way with Coke. Coke was free. You got all the drinks, all you could drink. Now you go to a buffet, your Coke's going to be like $3 for a glass of tea or Coke. Oh, right on the side of the road. They used to have these little sayings. You know, when you'd be going down the road, the first sign you'd say, "He who rushes to an early grave," then the next sign say, "doesn't have time to enjoy the time he saves." You know, it'd take you like 5 miles to get all the sign, but uh, you would get the little message as you went along. There used to be a soda fountain in Birmingham when we was little kids, and we'd go back. It was my first time I ever saw a soda fountain, but they had a thing called a banana split, which they still have them now. But oh my gosh, it had pineapple sauce on it and the 3 scoops of ice cream, and we're talking about everything you could load on that dish for less than a quarter. It was delicious. I never was much of a picky eater. I could just about pretty well eat anything. Yeah, bottom cup of coffee. Yeah, you bought your coffee. Oh, we used to have a chain of restaurants back in the day, um, where it was called Sambo's. They were very much like Denny's are today. Sambo's had a really nice menu, and Sambo's were everywhere across the nation. I don't know how many stores. I don't know if they was as big as Denny's, but Sambo's was you can get pancakes and I used to take my family when I lived in Puyallup and go down there at Sambo's and have breakfast. And then, long about somewhere in the 70s, they said it wasn't appropriate to have a restaurant with the name Sambo's on it. They tied it to some old poem or something. Now, this is in Washington, so, you know, they tied it to some kind of a something. So our Sambos went away. That was kind of unfortunate because we like to eat there. And boy, we had a really now living up there, we had a good IHOP. And so we went from Sambos to IHOPs. And what was good about IHOPs back in the day is you got real silverware and you got real plates. You know, you wasn't on styrofoam and stuff like that. I guess that was what they was tying it to, the little black Sambo. But they tried to explain it in the paper what the name Sambo had nothing racial about it, but you know, like a guy named Jim goes by the name Jimbo. A guy by named Sam went by the name Sambo. But oh yeah, there's so many things. Oh, Mike Ball likes IHOP. Well, it's usually a nice place to go. Hey, Smoke. Oh yeah, train just come through. That's how we get our email here in Grinder Switch. Make sure I read the board. Make sure I didn't miss anybody. Smoke popped in there. Road King. Good seeing you. As you get older, you look back at a lot of the things, that we done back in the days, and life was seemed like, after World War II. I was only when the war ended. I say 45. I was only 5 years old. 46. They were starting to come. A lot of them was coming home, and then of course the Korean War was real vivid in my mind. I'd already turned 50. I already turned 15 by the time. Oh, shit. I'd already turned 10 years old in 1950. And so I remember that quite well. Soldiers coming home wounded and stuff, and but America began to change. Oh my God! By 1953, we had rock and roll music. That guy from Memphis got up on the stage on the Elvis Presley show and tried to wiggle his hips, but they blocked it with the camera. Oh, yeah. I believe there used to be, there's a family lived in a town called Pacific, Washington. Hey, Rocket Queen. And he had a lot of children. And they said, why did you have so many children? He said, that damn Burlington Northern or Union Pacific or whatever the train was that went by. He said, that damn train would come by at 4 o'clock in the morning and blow his horn. I'd wake up, go to the bathroom, come back, and me and the woman would have a moment. And next thing you know, we'd have a baby. He blamed it all on the train. Oh, of course. And down here, we're all waterlogged, and the water is deep. And so we can't ride. There's water over the road right down here, and water. And we got, well, it's starting to taper off, and it's going to be freezing tomorrow. Tomorrow night, it's going to go down to, I believe, 27, but it's a little cold snap. Blame it on the train. Uh, well, it wasn't Millie Vanilli. They was the ones that did the lip sync, right? They was the first one that was when you saw them singing, it reminded you of the early Japanese movies. We'd watch Japanese movies that was dubbed in English, and awesome. their, their lips be moving, and there'd be a few letters behind. I hear the train a coming. Oh yeah. I don't know if any of you guys ever been to Johnny Cash's bar up in Nashville. You got a really nice place up there. I took my daughter. She came down here from Washington when we was having a wake for Ruth, and after all that, after we had all that, we went to Nashville, and that place is for those who haven't been to Nashville. It's a boom. I know Sterling. He probably has to go through there quite a bit with business, but it's a booming little town. I like Nashville for whatever reason. It is so congested, hard to get around in because there's always under construction, but it's a fine little old town. I just had a big lunch. Should have had the lunch yesterday. What we had today, we had fish and French fries and coleslaw, but no hush puppies. Oh, we're planning on living to the end. That's what the plan is. China man sitting on the fence trying to make a dollar out of 50 cents. Oh, we had all kinds of old songs that we sang as kids, but most of them have been bands. So we try to keep them out of our mind. But But that that was just a period of time we lived in. Now I think we're gonna go out Monday. We've postponed everything until Monday. Smoke, that's a ham antenna. That antenna over there is that's a 10 meter. That's a 10-meter magnum. In other words, that goes on a. I had a plate that had three resonators. I had 10, 20, and 40 on one. You had one stem coming up off in your mirror, 3 foot high, and on top of that there was a plate, and then you had three resonators with those stingers on them. That's a Hustler antenna. Um, but those are for ham radio. I just renewed my ham license today. I'll be good. I think my time will probably be up because I got 10 years on that. Well, if I'm lucky like Carl, I could live to 96. I mean, yeah, you get 10 years on your license. I just renewed them today. $80 to renew my license. Now, I could have renewed them through the FCC, but we have an organization called ARRL, Amateur Radio Relay League. And you can go to their website. They're the oldest organized radio organization since FCC has been created. And you can go to their website and pay them $80, and they process all your paper for you, and you'll get a copy back. So when you go to the FCC site, you pay $36 plus $10 renewal. That's $46, and they don't send you a copy of your license. They send you a file that you can have it converted, a PDF file, and then take it or print it, the PDF file in your printer if you got one. But if you do it through ARRL, they will print it all up for you and send your license out to you. So I wouldn't mind being 100 years of age when that time comes, but I want to be alive when it happens. I don't want to be 100 and dead 5 or 6 years ago, and still they pump enough of chemicals in you to keep you just going. When my time's up, I just want to get the hell out of here. I want to see what's on the other side. I mean, I don't want to rush it, but what I'm saying is, I hear it's supposed to be pretty spectacular. Don't know. I I've got 48 years. Well, see, 75. Let me see. I got my license in 75. Um, yeah, so yeah, we got some time in grade. When I got down here, I got here in 97. I believe I had like 28 years. I used to be N7DRR. That's November 7 Delta Romeo Romeo. And then when I got down here in 5 land, I applied, I got myself N4, November 4 Delta Romeo Romeo. So I went from 7 down to a 4. That's when I had to start me a whole new YouTube page because for many years until um, 2013 or whatever, I was N7 DIR. So when I switched over to N4 DIR, then I had to start me up a new page. WA4 BIA. That's a good call. Whiskey Alpha 4 Bravo India Alpha. Is it BLA maybe? A Bravo Lima Alpha. I'm looking at the screens 3 or 4 feet over there, so my little beady eyes I have to squinch down on my eyes to make sure I can read it. Oh my God. $56. Well, see, now the things have changed with the FCC. Uh, they're really trying to weed out and get rid of it because they said the FCC said with this, you don't need no damn ham radio thing, you know. But they would love to eliminate it, and they're trying to make it where it's harder and harder because they won't even print your license out for you. They'll only send you a PDF file. You can you can keep the PDF file on your phone or print it out or whatever yourself, but it won't be on official government paper, you know, like it used to be. I don't have my license in here on me. I used to have a license right there where my Harley Davidson sign is, but you got to keep a copy of your license at your station, and you have to keep a copy of your license on you if you're transmitting while mobile. It was a lot of fun. Way back in the 1975, we were with the military, and we couldn't have radios. But so I came home. So they can only keep you out 1 year at a time. And so when they brought me home, all my friends had become ham operators. And I said, "Well, how do you become a ham operator?" They said, "Well, you got to get a novice license, and then you got to get your whatever. You got to move on up to general and advanced and extra and all that kind of stuff." They said, "You got to take your code." I said, "Well, how do you take it?" "Well, you got to know code, Morse code." I go, "I don't know anything about it. I mean, I've heard them on the radio. I've heard movies that had beep 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 beep." And I said, "Well, I don't know." The guy said, "There's a lady in Enumclaw, Washington. She's giving classes." So 3 or 4 of us, including one of my kid Donald, we went out to Enumclaw, and we went out and done classes doing Morse code. Her name was Ann, and Ann got us all ready, and then she sent us to the federal building in Seattle, and we went up there and took our code test, and then we spent a 1 year. In those days, you had to be a novice for a year, I believe it was. I believe that was the requirements, and then we upgraded, and we've had a lot of fun with it. But then, of course, this little ugly device come along, and people will say, "Why would you want to spend $5,000?" I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen my video, but sitting up there on the desk up there in that video over to the right, there's a big box that has some digital stuff on it. That's $5,000 just for that box sitting there. Just that is called a linear amplifier, solid state, 6 meters through 160 meters. That's $5,000 to be legal, legal maximum power, solid state. The radio set next to it was over $4,000, and the one next to it was $1,600. And just to have a damn friggin' radio so you can talk on that piece of shit, I mean, you got this little piece about it's $1,400 or on sale, maybe $1,200. Cheap little phone. You can get on the phone and just talk to anybody in the world, and you can do FaceTime and real time and all that stuff. On the ham radio, here's how they got right towards the end there. We were doing what's called FT8. And for anybody that don't know what FT8 is, Mark, you may know about FT8. FT8 is you got your transmitter set up and a receiver, transceiver, and you go to FT8 mode, and it's a different set of frequencies. They're within the amateur band, but those frequencies are allocated to FT8, and you go up there, and your radio sits there and sends CQ, CQ, N4 DIR, CQ, CQ, N4 DIR. And it might send it for 2 or 3 hours. And a contact comes back on your screen. It shows you made contact. Then the computer verifies contact was made. Then it logs on ARRL, QRZ. On QRZ is where they keep. If you go to my QRZ page, I've got 68,000 contacts, 69,000 contacts. FT8 is that's nobody talks anymore because see, we have become so angry and so vicious to one another that we can't carry on a conversation no more than a few minutes until we get mad at somebody for whatever they said. Maybe I don't like the way your radio sounds, and I might bitch you out about the sound of your audio. On FT8, there's no arguing there. So people let these electronic all 5,000, 4,000, 9,000 plus 1,600 for that over there send digital telemetry and without even touching the friggin' thing and log it for you. That's how we've gotten. Because we can't communicate anymore. People are afraid to communicate. You can't say what you think. Oh, you can say, yeah, I'll say anything I want to say. But you ain't gonna have friends long if you do. Because somebody's not gonna like what you have to say. And then they'll start their little motion to see if they can get you removed from the air. I'm talking about ham radio. And then they got all kinds of organizations on ham radio where you got to be a member of this organization. They've literally ripped the independence and the spirit of ham radio right out of your heart and chest by imposing man-made restrictions to open communications. And so you can see my shelf is empty. There's no radios there because I like the idea of being able to communicate without anybody just being angry. And here on this format we got going here, here's what's beautiful about that. You don't like old Mac, you can go right over there and you can unfriend him. He's gone out of your life forever. Never have to worry about seeing that fool again. But when you've invested all those years and all those government tests you have to take to maintain and keep your license for 48 years or more, you kind of hold on to them and kind of try to protect them. And but with this right here, I get too personal, cut me off. Don't have to worry about that ever hearing that fool again. And you get more and more of that where just little clicks and little things that just kind of robs you of any kind of spirit. You might not meet the right requirement for this group, and you have to wander around and try to find the group that you can fit in with, hopefully finding, well, like with the motorcycle thing, you can be a pretty good asshole. And if you ride a bike, a lot of that you can be forgiven for because being an asshole kind of goes along sometimes with being a biker because there's so many people trying to kill you. You're always, you're always saying things. People, I get mad when they try to kill me. I don't know how you guys feel, but when I'm riding, I feel very protective about old Mac. I try to keep him alive, man. Hey, American Uncensored. Hey, buddy. So yeah, I do really try to keep old Mac alive when I'm out there riding. What's really good about editing a video, I remove a lot of cussing. Angelique told me one time when we had our Cenas hooked up and where we could talk back and forth, she could hear everything I'm saying, and she go, "You sure cussed a lot." I go, "I'm sorry about that," but hey, you've got you're going down the road and maybe you might be in the middle lane and the car just merged into the lane from off the side of the road or whatever, and he's passing you on to the right, and you see him coming up and going by you. And about the time he gets his rear wheel gets about where your front wheel is, that's where he starts coming over. God damn, just leaves you 1 inch of space. It's up to you to brake and do all that kind of stuff to keep from being killed. So, uh, I think it adds a level of excitement I kind of like in a way. It ain't nowhere dull or boring. And another thing I love about bike riding, it requires that you pay attention. Oh my God. It requires when you're biking to pay attention. Um, because once you begin to like be distracted and you're in a curvy road, you're going to go over the edge. You're going to drift over the line. You're going to hit somebody head on. It means that you got to pay attention. When you're driving, you can reach over and turn your old FM radio on, or you can fiddle around over here with this and look back up occasionally onto the road, and everything's going to be fine. But you can't do that with a bike. You shouldn't do that. You even shouldn't do it with a car. And in a car, you can just pick your old phone up. Let me see if I can call my buddy Joe. Hey, Joe, I'm just running down the super slab. You don't do that on a bike. First of all, you wouldn't be able to hear a word you say with all that wind blowing by on your phone, but it requires that you pay a little bit of attention. More attention you pay, the safer the ride's going to be. Hey, thank you, Mark. My Tri-Glide has got straight exhaust. They're mufflers. I can't remember what they're called. It was on the when I bought it. It told me what those mufflers were. They're aftermarket mufflers. Good name brand too. But you look up through a flashlight, you can see straight through them. There's no baffles in there. It's just a long shaft with little poked holes in it. And when you get on it, it does have a nice sound. Now, sometimes my microphone is getting crappy. And I found out what the problem was on it, where all the connectors where you put them together and then you plug it into smoke. Thank you, buddy. I've got a from American Uncensored. I got a cup coming. I'm looking forward. I got one coming from. I got a cup coming from Cawffee. I'll be displaying my cup. I got me a glass coming this coming week, I believe, on the from American Uncensored. I got a drinking glass. I'll be able to drink my Bailey's out of it. My medication. Hey, South Oz. Oh, we got some nice people in here today for us. Well, to me, it's a rainy afternoon, but it may be. I think it's going to get better tomorrow. Let me see. If I can. I'm thinking the prediction tomorrow to be better. Sunday, oh, it's going to be a high tomorrow, 49 degrees. It's going to be low tonight, 37. Tomorrow night, low, 26. Monday night, low, 27. Then 28 and 26. we got what you call a cold snap coming. I'm going to take a ride. Well, I'm not going to ride tomorrow. I'm going to ride Tuesday. Yeah, I'm going to be riding Tuesday. We're going to ride the bike Tuesday. Looking forward to it. I got my old camera all charged up here, ready to go. And I got it all ready to go. However, I got rained out. I couldn't go, but I'm ready. You know what I like about this little camera here? This thing, when you charge the battery up, you can sit there for 2 or 3 weeks, and you go back and it only has dropped the very minute whatever it takes to keep the clock running. That GoPro sitting right there, my GoPro 11, you leave it for 2 weeks over there with a freshly charged battery, and it'll be down to 50%. 55 degrees in Hicksville, Oklahoma. Oh my God! Yeah, you guys. Oh, by the way, speaking of Australia, I haven't seen Dave in a while. Now I haven't been on as much as you guys have been because I had some issues there. But is Dave okay? Last time I saw him, he was just cooking his brains out, enjoying life, and I'm hoping he's continued doing so. Oh, I have to agree with you, South Moto, South Oz. I really like that DJI. Um, I like everything about it. The battery will last a long time. I've got to I got to work on my audio. It has nothing to do with the camera. My microphone has shifted. It's up inside my helmet, and it's turned, and it's right almost at the end of my lip. I need to reposition it, and and what it does, it really messes up the audio coming from the engine. If you turn up the engine up higher RPM, you can hear it start to break the audio up because it overdrives the microphone. The gain is too high, and on that particular lavalier microphone, I'm going to get the DJI lavalier. You know, this guy has more of a bassier sound rather than the high pitched sound. Well, I'm glad you're down there, Connie, in that beautiful weather and enjoying life. That's what it's all about, you know. Just my sister and I, most of all my family, we've always enjoyed our lives. We've played, we've played hard. We've had every kind of fun toy you can imagine. Um, yeah, we've broken a lot of bones. Me and her. I would tell you a little story about my baby sister right here on there. Now she can shout out anytime she wants to. She can type over there. Well, he's lying like a snake. I never did that. Well, I'm gonna tell you, we was down in Coos Bay, Oregon, and my brother came up from California, and my brother Robert, and he had a trailer loaded full of three wheelers. Now I had a four-wheel racing machine that had a real powerful rear engine drive and all that stuff. And um, but he had a brand new 250R CR 250. That's a air cool. I mean, that's a water cooled two stroke Honda that was awesome. It had an Elsinore engine on it that made some good horsepower. So we unloaded it off to his trailer. He said, "Go ahead and take it for a ride." So I went out there and rode around on it a little bit, came back, and my sister said, "Take me for a ride." I thought, "What? It says right on the gas tank, one rider only." She said, "I can hang on." Okay. So she hopped on the back. And so we're going out there riding in this valley, and there's 600 and 700 foot dunes there in Coos Bay, where we was at in Florence area, 600 and 700 foot dunes there. And there was this one called Cawffee Hill right there overlooking Coos Bay. And everybody was taking a run at it. Well, I went over and kind of got lined up. I thought I can probably do that one. And she's sitting back there on the back. So we take off up there and we got way up to the top where there wasn't no more sand. It was just like a hard packed sandstone up there. And I had to downshift. Um, Man, I mean, that thing just jumped straight up in there. When I downshifted, it lifted the wheel straight up in the air and it came down, got my hand right here, broke my wrist right there, got my hand between the clutch and the handlebar thing there and snapped my bone there in my arm. And when it came down on top of Connie and crushed her vertebrae and her neck and her bunch. I mean, they put her in the hospital. Well, I'm 400 miles from Seattle, so we had to drag the machine. It tore the wheel off the. It was a brand new. I mean, it tore it right off the rim, the tire off the rim, tore the fenders off. So we get it back down there to where my brother is at, brand spanking new CR 250. I'm hurting really bad. They're hauling her away. It kind of had to be hauled off to the hospital. Me and my kids, we loaded all my race car up and all my racing equipment, and we trailered back to back up to Puyallup. And when I got home, sitting in my yard was a D7 Caterpillar tractor. I had leased it, a D7, because I had a racetrack that had these real steep banks on both ends of it, and the city made us take the racetrack down. It was an 8th mile dirt track on my property, but I didn't have it fenced off where they couldn't get in there, and the city said it was a death trap waiting to kill some kid, and so they condemned my property till I removed the racetrack. So I'm hurting really bad, but I got out on the tractor and I I took care of the track. I pushed all the high banks in, all the jumps had to be leveled out and got it all back the way it's supposed to. When I came in the house, I was kind of dragging my legs a little bit. I was having a hard time manipulating myself. I was hurting. And I asked her, I said, could you call and see if you can get me appointment this afternoon to go see the chiropractor? And she called over and he said, yeah, come on over. So we went over there. As soon as I got in, he got me on the table. She said, I got it. You got to be in the hospital. You got a damaged back here. Anyhow, they put me in the hospital. 28 days I was in the hospital. For 14 of the 28 days, I was sedated where I was in another world. 58 pounds of weight on me. You know, they had the pulleys up there and they had to pull my vertebrae all back out. Whatever they done, 28 days in the damn hospital. Oh, Connie spent the next 40 years of her life, one surgery and then another surgery and then numbness in her arm and her fingers and her back and never get 40 damn years of misery and suffering. Just her and I on that three-wheeler. And what I say, we're still alive, but we live life to its maximum. So later years goes by, we moved to San Antonio, Texas. We're down there in San Antonio, Texas. And while I was down there, I was talked into to entering a 24-hour race. I had a Montesa dirt bike, and so they talked me into entering a 24-hour race in Austin, Texas. We lived in San Antonio, but the race is the 24. I had two bikes, and I had a neighbor. I loaned him one of my bikes. He entered it. Him and I ran together. My bike, my Montesa, it lasted about 14 hours. And the other bike made it for 20 hours. And then it, D7 Caterpillar tractor. That would have been in 1986. No, it had been in 1988. Oh yeah, but we ain't talking about a little bitty racetrack now. We had a huge racetrack that had 60-degree banks on it, and so you could take a 250 dirt bike or even bigger and go into those banks wide open, and then come down off the bank and go over the big jump. You know, Joyce's husband came out and was racing back in them days. We all got involved in Odyssey racing. and I had built a special custom built car with chrome moly tubing. I welded it all up in my shop, and so all of my kids had their own Odysseys, and Craig, Joyce's husband, bought him a Odyssey. And we'd get out there and there would be sometimes 10, 12 Odysseys racing on the track. And he was on the big bank, and my sons were racing real hard with him, and they bumped in the corner, and he went over the top, upside down, and on the other side of the big embankment is a creek, and the creek was 4 foot deep. Yeah, you go, that ain't much. But the car, the Odyssey, was only like 3 feet off the ground. When it went over, he was underwater. And so we all run up there to the edge of the bank and look down, and he ain't no Craig. He's under there. And then as we got into the water to go out and get him, he come bubbling up out of there. He was alive and well, but God damn, that was close. Woo! He's not with us now. If he'd have been here with us, he would have said we had fun back in the day. Yeah, we had. Now, none of us had stock Odysseys. Mine had full chassis, but I built a custom car called a Challenger car, and I used a first engine I had was a 750 cc Polaris engine. And then I went to a 440 Kawasaki engine twin. The 3-cylinder, I had a 753 cylinder with 3 expansion chambers, and that's what I was running. Then I went to a Kawasaki twin, and that was an awesome bike. Twin expansion chambers coming out the back. That was my number 80 car. That's what the racing number was, 80. Well, I'm boring people to death. I see the numbers are going down over there, so I better talk faster to try to keep my audience. So you can only take old Mack in just certain size dose. You can't take him all at one time, or just that's why it'd be overwhelming. Look at this right here. Look at what my sister Connie says. I wish I could highlight it so you got. I don't know if there's a way of highlighting it or not. What does it say right here? I don't know how to do that. Anyhow, Connie says, at least I was having fun when I got my bones broken. That's right. Yeah, that's right. All of us, every one of us, we always left a little flesh on the track. All my kids grew up to go in, and 3 of them retired out of the military. They all like that form of excitement. One of my sons, 22 years, he spent most of his time with the 101st Airborne, and they all like that kind of stuff. They was just always in it. We're like a bunch of heathens. When we showed up on the track, the hillbillies were there. Yeah. We had a pretty good following. My sponsor was Honda of Puyallup. River Road Honda. They was my sponsor. And then I got a sponsor from the U.S. Air Force. It was sort of like a coerced thing because we were working for the Air Force on my job, and we was at all these military bases, and so I was always interfacing with these military people. And finally, I got me a sponsor when I was racing. We was racing. One of the races we raced in Shelton, Washington. You had to do 3 laps, and the course on one lap was 65 miles, and that was awesome. You had to do 3 laps. Now, 101st is at Fort Campbell, Kentucky. 82nd is at Fort Bragg, Mark. The 101st may have been assigned or attached there, but their base is at Clarkville, Tennessee. They're Fort Campbell, Kentucky. Yeah, I went up there for my best friend's son graduated from jump school, and I took my four wheelers up there. I had some really nice four wheelers, and I put them on the trailer, and I took them up there. And when his son did his jump, and then they released him that day. That we went over and picked him up. We was there while they jumped 12 or 1,500 jumped out of the air C-141, and when they finally brought them all back and they was released, he come and hopped in with me and his dad Mark, and we went to Land Between the Lakes, and I took our four wheelers up there side by sides. We took them up there, and oh my gosh, did we ever have fun up there? That is a fun place. Oh, I didn't know that. I know my uncle. He was in the 101st, and he was in World War II. He parachuted into Saint Lo, France, and he went in at night. Everybody went in at night when they first, on, I thought June the 6th or whenever the invasion, whenever they went in, they set the paratroopers up ahead so they could set up. He was an MP in the Army. So he went up there and they would set up road guards and stuff like that. And so when he was coming down in his parachute, he landed right next to a mule or a donkey or whatever it was. In France, maybe a donkey. And he said that thing, he landed right beside of it. And that donkey bowed up in the middle and said it woke it. You can see lights turning on in the neighborhood. Got a wild ass donkey out there running across St. Lo, France, you know. Uh, hey, Robin, Happy New Year's. Uh, yeah, so he thought, oh man, he thought he was going to have a lot of trouble waking everybody up because they're supposed to try to go in and download. They had flooded the area, and a lot of the guys landed up to their necks or up to shoulders in water. But where he landed was up on a hillside right next to a donkey. And him and several others got in that area, and they went over and started setting up their roadblocks and stuff to guard. So when they came on to the beach and brought all their amphibious equipment up there and come ashore, they would have secured roads, you know, and made sure the roads stayed open until they could get in deeper into France. Haircut? What the hell are you talking about a haircut, man? I'm gonna do like I'm gonna do like Motorbomb. I'm gonna get me I'll make me a bun back there, not a bun, but a ponytail. I might have two pigtails. Hell, I think I look good in pigtails. Do you remember when I went to Washington last year? And I wasn't up there very long. Like nip, 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 nip. uh, yeah, pigtail. Oh, let me tell you, Connie's son has a beautiful daughter. Her name is, we called her Jaguar. And so I had a long beard back in them days. I was younger. I was in my 60s and I had a much fuller beard. So we were over there in Florence. She said, "Can I braid your beard?" I go, "Sure, if you want to." And so she got my beard and started, and she made all these pigtails. She rolled them together, and so I walked around there for 2 or 3 days with 4 or 5 pigtails hanging under here, like Jerry curls or cornrows, man. I was like, I was getting down, man. Uh, One thing about hair, it does grow back. I've got some pictures back when I had when all my hair was gone. Uh, chemicals, you know. Um, yeah, I had chemical treatments for cancer, and my hair fell out. But it's coming back. I believe the reason the beard grows as good as it does down is because there's so much bullshit coming out of here. It's rich fertilizer. Just keeps it. That's for all them guys got them big beards, right? Smoke. uh, oh yeah, you whenever well one time, Connie, you was with us. Yeah, wisdom. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah, we crossed a mountain over in Yakima, and Connie had her own. No, we were. Oh no, we were on the beach. I remember. Yeah, we was down on the beach over there. Connie had her own bike. You know, she would go her own four wheeler. She could go anywhere. You could see Connie almost on any dune. You look around and where Connie goes, she's over there on the dune. she she had no fear. Yeah, I lay there at night sometimes and parts of my body would be hurting and everything. I go, yeah, I remember that was 86 at Coos Bay. I look at that. Oh, I remember that was an 84 at Moses Lake. Look at another. Oh, that happened right there in Austin, Texas. Yeah, I got run over in Austin. I had a friend. He's gone now. He the company had a policy about beards and your mustache could only come to the corner of your lip and your hair could not come down past your sideburns. They had some rules. When you work for military, you got to meet military requirements, and so they began to challenge that in the civilian side because we were civilian contractors for the military, and we said pretty well. Pretty soon, everybody started growing beards. Well, I was gone for a year, and when I come back, he was a bike rider. He had a really nice. I think he had a fat bob. He had a nice Harley. That was back during the AMF day, or remember when Harley was taking over. Uh, it was the best that you could have at that period of time, and the bikes wasn't all that bad. Uh, I just think people hated them because they wasn't pure Harley like they are today or whatever. But my God, I walked in there and sitting there was this guy looked like a gorilla. His hair and his beard, he was just one piece. His head was all hair and beard. And they called him the caveman because he had really dark hair and that it was oily, dark, black looking beard and hair and everything. And I go, oh my God, what a change. He was in Vietnam. He was hurt pretty bad in Vietnam. Oh, that was some hard days during Vietnam. Uh, we were operating out of a place called MKP. You might look that up. Anybody, you Vietnam vets, MKP is in Thailand, and MKP was a place where you couldn't fly military equipment in a military plane. You had to get Aero America to fly your equipment in because we wasn't at war with them. We were in war across. We was over there in Vietnam, but our company produced these beautiful little cedar trees about this big right here. Let me see if I can show it on the screen. About that big. Um, Cedar trees. They were all folded up. They were in a little canister like thing, and they'd fly over in a KC-1. No, what were they using? Oh, C-141. Could be a KC-130, but they was fly over the Ho Chi Minh Trail, and they would drop these things out. They come down this chute, and they would just put them down through there. And when they fall down through the trees, they would spike into the ground and open up. And it was a listening device. But if you saw it at a distance, it looked just like a little cedar tree. And the operation was done in MKP. For those that know anything about Thailand and the role it played, MKP was our company's base of operation where they aided the war with the equipment we built. Oh, I had a friend that lived in Gadsden. He was stationed at MKP. I didn't know him at all. I only found him after I come back to Alabama and we got to talking. And then he mentioned MKP. And then we had many years of wonderful conversations. He's gone now. AMF was, a lot of people really, I think basically they harped about the AMF because it was not a Harley, but bike riders are pretty opinionated about their bike. I mean, you take my buddy Joe, he rides a Honda. He he lives and breathes that Honda. Well, ain't nothing wrong with that. He brought me a bike over here. It was a three-cylinder Triumph. It was called Rocket 3 or something like that. Oh my God, that I strapped a camera on it, I put a GoPro on it, and golly, that thing, I took it around, made an 11-mile loop around my place here, and whoo, that machine is it's got some get up and go to it. Oh, yeah, that's right. If we'd have spent, I believe, if we'd have spent the kind of money that we spent on destroying into making life better, like with working on the cure for cancer, or how about this? How about let's forget about cancer for a while. How about dementia? There's no more horrible way of to go in this world as to leave here and not knowing that you're going. To watch a loved one decay into total darkness from a living human being slowly decaying with a perfectly good working body, with all the parts working, but the mind is gone. Dementia. Oh my God, if we could just devote the kind of money they're talking about now, looking at a military budget of $1 trillion. What if you took the same attitude and said, we're going to conquer dementia? And while we're at it, we'll cure cancer and maybe tuberculosis and lumbago and arthritis, whatever. But think about the goodness of man making us really healthy. Oh, Robin, my heart goes out for you. I watched my mother go. I watched my wife. I held her until the moment she took her last breath. It's not easy. I do like technology. I do like, I love the new space, the new telescope that we have out there. We got some really good stuff. It's not going to do me. I'd rather know that my wife or mother is going to be healthy as to know what star is doing what. Um, We got to put our priorities where it really should count, but we should not deny those that wants to explore exploration of space, and whatever. I'm not against that space exploration, but I'm for, really seriously, for working on mankind, improving. Well, look at this. When I was born in 1940, time I got to the sixth grade of school, we were studying things about theoretical stuff in the sixth grade here in Alabama. And we're talking about the bell curve. The bell curve, they introduced us to the bell curve, and they got to the part about the bell curve of life. If I was born in 1940, and when I was, I'd be somewhere around 52, 53, somewhere like that, 12, 13 years old I was, they was telling us how long our life expectancy should be. Since I was born in 1940, they told me if everything worked out real good, I'll make it till I'm 67 years of age. And a woman would make it to 69, a couple of years longer. And so I was destined to like leave out of here at the age of 67. Theoretically, I've already used up all the bell curve, but I'm still here, and I attributed that to the advancements of science. Um, you know, cleaning the air up that we breathe. When I got to Los Angeles in 1956, you could not see the top of the buildings. I arrived in Los Angeles in May of 1956, and you couldn't see the top of the buildings. And as you can see now, on a good day, you can see all over the city of Los Angeles. Especially if there's a little bit of offshore wind. We've cleaned the air up a lot. I mean, people, oh, I hate the goddamn smog thing. You know what? It took all your horsepower away and all that kind of stuff, and that was that negative side. But the good side of it is tuberculosis started going away and all the lung diseases. You don't hear as much about lung cancer as you did 20 years ago, 30 years ago. You hear more of heart disease and stuff, but oh my God, I bet you would. I bet you skyline was brown there. Oh, well, I remember when it was so bad in Peking, China, that they couldn't hold the Olympics because the Olympic was there, but they had to wear a little mask and everything. The runners couldn't operate and they couldn't do things because they had to call off some of the events because the air was so bad. But yeah, they have improved a lot of things in their life. They give us a little bit better understanding about the amount of water we should be drinking and clean water. Because, see, when we came up, and Connie can tell you this, we used to drink right out of the creek. We used to take our hands and sip the water right out of the creek. We would walk to a railroad track, and when we'd come to a bluff where there was rocks, we'd go over there and stick our tongue against the rock and let the water drip down on our tongue. It would be so hot walking the railroad tracks. And that never bothered us. But then we got where almost everything kills us. Yeah. I remember there was a period of time where bacon was bad, coffee was bad. I was married to a woman that absolutely refused to make coffee for me because she said it was going to kill me. So she put me on Postum. I spent 8 miserable years of my life on Postum. Hang on, folks. The train is. You got it stopped. Oh, good. He had to let off a little steam there. 8 years of my life I spent drinking Postum. If you don't know what Postum is a grain beverage that's to stimulate, not stimulate. It was like coffee, simulated coffee. And well, we drank it. But see, it wasn't too hard of a deal for me to take drinking posting because when we came up during the war, we had coffee allotments. You had to have a stamp to get your coffee. And if you used your stamps up and didn't have enough to buy the coffee, you had to buy artificial coffee. It was made out of corn, parched corn, and we drank a lot of that too in the early years. But then Louisiana coffee with chicory, the brand Louisiana brand. It had chicory, which was a root. It wasn't coffee beans. It was a root that gave you the flavor of coffee and the darkness. It was pitch black dark. Oh my God. Oh yeah. Yeah. So can actually help us with a lot of issues. Not going to solve everything. I come up during a period of time better living through chemistry. Well, you can see where that went. They come up with this thing called genetic modified food, genetically modified GMOs. And unfortunately, they started growing these potatoes and mixing the DNA with a halibut so they could grow in cold climates and all this kind of stuff. And then they say, hey, that was really good. How about let's do something about the corn because corn suffered from a thing called smut and blight that would pinch the ear of corn back, and you'd have little short nubbin ears instead of big long ears of corn. You'd have little nubbins because of the blight. So they came up with a DNA for the corn, and my God, you was producing great big ears of corn. The corn yield just went out of sight. That sounded wonderful until primitive countries or third world countries, like for instance Mexico, they grow masa. That's all their tortillas. They use masa and a wild grass that has seeds and masa, corn derivative. Well, what happened? Corn, when it tasseled, the pollen attacked the indigenous grasses, which the masa fell within that uh, description, and it began to kill off masa, and it put the world in a sort of like a tailspin. Um, McDonald's, with their genetically modified potato for the French fries, had already contracted 800,000 acres of genetically modified potatoes, and it just well, this people that took it a step too far with genetically modified food, trying to trick Mother Nature into doing things it didn't want to do. In the day, S&H green stamps was a way of life for everybody. I mean, the proudest moment I could be is when I'd go over to my mother's house and I'd have 4 or 5 books of S&H green stamps, and I'd give her my 4 or 5 books of green stamps that me and my wife and family members had saved up. My brothers would do the same thing, and they'd take them over, and then she'd have enough of those books that she could get something with it, and that always made us feel good. And then when we started getting wives, then the wives, they wanted their own green stamps, and you couldn't take mom the green stamps anymore. So because they were collecting their own green stamps. But back in the day, you could go fill your gas tank up, and they'd give you S&H green stamps, but they'd also give you a plate or a saucer, for a full fill up, a plate or a saucer or a towel or whatever, and you could collect them until you had a whole dish set. Well, Smoke, I thank you very much for joining us here on this afternoon. Um, you have yourself a great evening. I just ramble along. I'm a Seinfeld of the 21st century. My little micro channel is much to do about nothing. I have no agenda. If you have totally, absolutely nothing else in the world to do, a good place to come and waste your time would be right here. Because we got all, hell, I burned up 2 hours of old Mac. We didn't do much, but took care of that 2 hours. Uh, well, we tried to, well, when you live as long as I've lived, I've got a wide variety of things I've done in my life. And I'm happy that I have my baby sister sitting right here that she can't let old Mac get too far off out of line. When I'm telling you a story, she can contradict that story anytime she wants to, because she lived that same life. I didn't know this, but I had a Plymouth Fury that was the hottest thing in all of Merced and Madera County. That thing was hot. And when I was out, I would take these long truck drives. I was driving a truck, and I'd take a long trip on the truck. My sisters and my brother would borrow my Plymouth Fury, and they'd run the hell out of it. They tell me this later. My sister confessed right here on the air. She confessed, I, I think on the Coffee Crew, that they used to steal my car while I was gone, but they made sure they washed every, because I would inspect the car, make sure it hadn't been moved out of its tracks. They were so good at that, you could never tell the car had even moved while I was gone. Sometimes they pretend they just washed it to make old Mac feel good. Well, Joyce, she says that she don't ever get to see us because of the time difference. Well, it's only 7 minutes after two on up in Seattle, so she she probably is up by now, I would think. But they don't think she don't think about old Mac or nothing like that because if she was subscribed to me, it would send out a little alarm. Warning, warning, old Mac's on. Warning, warning. Go ahead. Yeah, he's Robin is trying to get you to say that old Mac's just full of shit, but I'm just telling you the way it is. I'm alive and I've got witnesses to prove it. My One of my kids, he went to Camp Lejeune in the Carolinas there for the Marine Corps training. And he had a buddy in there that went. It was with him all the years he was there. They kind of stuck close together. And his buddy, he was in Delta Force. That one was. And so one time they was doing this special hard ass training stuff. It's called cross training with the Navy SEALs and the Army Rangers and Australian people and the German and the Jewish IDF. There's a group of really, there's a damn stink bug in my hair. Look at that thing. He just plopped out there. A stink bug. Oh, I had the back door open a while ago. Eh, Anyhow, he was cross training up there, and his buddy said, when old DI'd be all up in his face, he punched him in the gut. The DI punched my son in the gut. I mean, a little short stab like that. One of them, they used to do that a lot. They can't do it now. I think it's kind of against the law, but back in a long time ago, they could punch you and stuff like that. And while he was up there, he was at attention and he hit him right in the gut, buddy. Oh, he was built stout, my kid was. And that old fist went into his belly. And later, his buddy said, "Oh, how do you take that shit?" He said, "You wasn't raised by my daddy." Because we lived a hard life. but that's just the way it was back in the day. I'll stay on 15 more minutes. So, anybody got anything they want to bring up or any questions you want to ask? Right now would be a good time to ask the question. Um, yeah, one time I last year, about last December, I did a show with my sister in Seattle, and there was people asked her a question, as old Mac did all the things he said, and she go, I was right there with him. He made me. My sister, the one in Seattle, is a little bit of a homebody. Me and Connie would go out, and all of our sons would be out there doing ripping and roaring and snorting and drinking and kicking up our heels and having a good time. And she'd be at home fussing and growling about something. So years later, after me and Connie be sitting telling our stories, or my brother Robert, I took my sister in Seattle to see my brother Robert in Arkansas. And we'd only been there for about an hour. And then he started telling us stories about stuff that me and him done, what we did when we was young. And then she said, I never got to do any of those things. Well, she never did. She was busy having babies and being a mama and all that kind of stuff. Can't blame us. Can't blame me and Connie because she had plenty of opportunity to come join us. she was she was my little mud puppy. You saw Angelique's video yesterday. I posted her walking through the rain. Kind of, you saw that, and she had to go up and get the mail. And there's two lakes that she had to cross. This one down here at the house, and then she had to cross the one up there. And she slides up through. When she coming back, I made a video of her coming back, and I called her the mud puppy. She went up there and got the mail. Yeah, well, we had a lot of adventures, and we just went to a lot of places, done a lot of things. We lived in a lot of places. Our families lived in a lot of places. We lived in Georgia. We lived in Texas and Alabama, California, Washington. I lived in Montana. I lived in a lot of places. Oh, we lived in Arizona. We- oh man, we lived in a lot of places. No, we wouldn't stand, Robin. We would not stand one step ahead of the law. No, we were just busy living. Yeah, we did have a good time. Always did. Oh, Robin, I was going to tell you, I haven't been up checking your stuff out for a while because I wasn't supposed to be on the air for 2 weeks, but I went back a week earlier because I had that surgery in my ear, and I'm supposed to keep noise level down. They told me not to listen to any music. Said about 15 minutes of sound and vary the frequency of the sound, and don't just sit there and put a headset on and listen to music and stuff. And but I took off a week or whatever. I'm hoping that it finally gets done with so I can get on about doing the stuff I like to do. Oh, don't forget, I lived in Missouri too. Yeah, I lived in a lot of places. after I had my surgery, I went out there and shot that Desert Eagle 50 cal. But I've got Bosch and Loam noise canceling headphones, and they do a really great job. But after that, I began to have an issue, and so I ended up going back to the surgeon. Well, now here just a couple of weeks ago, less than 3 weeks ago, they had to go in and surgically remove the tube. And so now that you got a eardrum, it's open. You're not supposed to have much sound in it, but I kind of muted everything really low, and so that's the reason we haven't been as active as we like. But hey, you got to do what your body tells you can do. Yeah, it's really. Let me see if I can. Let me see if I can bring up. If it's been now, it hasn't been raining in a while. I believe I can bring this up here, and I can show you guys. Let me turn this light off here. That ain't very clear. Let me move it in closer. You can see on the other side, right behind the bike, there's some water still left. That just ain't very clear. Let me move it in closer to get it focused. Damn. It just ain't going to clear up. Anyhow, there's water out there. You can see all that shiny stuff behind the yellow lawnmower there. That's all water. Yeah, she's pretty wet out there. I think they get upset if you show the gun off. I don't know if that's allowed or not. Let me see. Let me try something. I'll see if they kick me off the air here. Hang on. We're going to try something. This is just for you gun folks that like this kind of stuff. I don't think they're going to do nothing to me. That's my constitutional right.
No.
Come here, sweetie.
What?
Come here.
Fine.
Put your TV on mute. Fine. Let me go over and bring me a gun. Bring me my gun. I got a couple I keep over there. Can you open it up and take it out? I want you. Yeah, stand right behind. Yeah. What I want you to do? Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Kind of turn it this way. Turn it like this. Don't point at my head. Don't do that. For God's sakes. I ain't supposed to be touching it. Hold it.
I'm holding it, man.
But don't put your finger on the trigger. Get your finger off the trigger. I feel unsafe. Yeah. Look, there's no magazine in it. So, old Mack's safe.
For now.
Yeah. Anyhow, that is the Desert Eagle right there. You shouldn't aim it at my head like that. Don't do that. That's dangerous. All right. Put it away.
You're heavy.
Ah. Honey, just leave it right there because I want to wipe it down with some oil because I touched it with my finger. I don't like to touch. I usually have. I've got white gloves in there. I'll put the gloves on before I touch it because sometimes it lays over there for 2 or 3 weeks without being touched, and your oil in your skin. It just people just forget about how much acid there are in your skin. That is a Christmas present that I gave myself. Um, I've wanted one for quite a while. I used to have guns. I don't have a gun no more. I ain't got a gun no more. I got a pea shooter. You have to kick it up by $600. No, $700. No, I don't make Angelique mad. Let me show you something here. For you guys that was in the service, this is a round out of a Maul Deuce. That's 50 cal right there. And see, it's about longer than your fingers. That's a 50 cal. This is a 50 cal. This bullet, look here, right here. Perfect fit. Look at that. There's two 50s together. I mean, to show you how big it, you have to push it in there a little bit. There you go. There's a 50 cal going inside of a 50 cal shell. Perfect fit. But yeah, this is a 50 cal BMG. Oh, you're talking about fun. I've got some videos of me shooting 50s on an aircraft carrier called Nimitz. I got to shoot a lot of different ones. The ones up above your head. You know, when I'm standing on the fantail of the Nimitz, there's a Marine station above you on both sides of the ship of the Nimitz, and they've got the twin barrel 50s that has their anti-aircraft 50 cal anti-aircraft, and they shoot a much longer bullet. They got they have a tracer and of course explosive rounds and all that stuff. But I got some pictures of me shooting off the fantail of a 9-foot long 50 cal barrel. Yeah, the barrel is 9 foot long, 50 cal, and it was set up for a 3-round burst. When you got two triggers on both sides, you can pull either the left or right hand. But it would the reason they got the dual trigger thing set up there. Normally, it would have two barrels out there, and it has a big old ring out there on the end for us, so you can spot aircraft with it. And they would put us every day at 9 o'clock in the morning a killer tomato in the water. And that killer tomato was about 10 foot in diameter. Big old balloon, bright red, a heavy duty. And they would throw them out the back down there, and they had a door. They'd open up and they'd toss them out there, and we'd shoot them with the Maul Deuce, or they specifically designed for shooting anti-aircraft shells. And every time you could be out there a couple of thousand yards out, And when the bullet hit the water, you see the big explosion. The water would stand up 6 foot when that bullet hit the water. And a little bitty thing like this could make that much damn splash, but um, they were a lot of fun to shoot. I shot every day. I, I had this young Marine. He was assigned to me, and he would run my camera for me. He would run my camera while I was shooting. And this young Marine had to stay with me. I was his grandfather. He had to stay with me everywhere I went. And we used to go down on the Nimitz. They got an attachment of about 100 Marines aboard the Nimitz, and they're the peacekeepers. And they was a fun group. I just like them guys. Um, they were entertaining and fun loving, and they knew how to drink too. I like that. We used to go to Corona. That's where we'd pull in San Diego, and that's where the Marines, they like to go down there. There's a place we would go down with some sailors and drank a lot of beer. Or anything you wanted to drink. I mean, seen some good fights. I ain't kidding you. I saw some good fights on the Nimitz. I'm talking about knockdowns, buddy. Once you've been cooped up. See, the last time I joined the Nimitz, they had been at sea for 9 months. That's a long deployment on an aircraft carrier. They'd been over there doing the no-fly zone of Iraq, and these guys just had all this pent-up rage about they couldn't go ashore for 9 months. And the first time we went to shore was they went down to Corona from where we pulled in there. There you go. Everybody made a beeline to this one particular bar. And we got back to the ship really early, and they didn't get back until like curfew. And they was a hell of a they was drunk. A lot of drunk sailors. Hey, 2-4, man, one of these days, man, you're going to have a cold beer too. That's one thing about a beer. You just can't have one beer. Usually it takes 2 beers, to get your tongue loosened up a little bit. 3 beers, you be just, you got stories to tell. Time you get to the bottom of your 4th beer, like, man. Oh, I promised y'all I'd cut y'all loose at the end of 2 hours. Now it's been 2 hours and 3 minutes. So um, I'm happy I had a chance to meet up with you guys today. I told Angelique I was going to get on the air, and she said, "Oh, I'm not going to come in there and bother you." Because sometimes she'll come busting through the door there. See, when she's not on the air, she's just like full of piss and vinegar, and she'll come running. I can hear her hooves coming down the hallway. We got about a 30-foot hallway down there, over there, and you have to go that way 30 foot to the kitchen. And she'll think of something, and she'll come running down that hallway. Boom, 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 boom. You can hear her hooves, and she'll bust through that door. She comes into the room like Seinfeld, like Cosmo on Seinfeld. She'll come skidding in. I got hardwood floors in here, and she'll come skidding into the room. Okay, guys, appreciate you being here. I love each and every one of you, and I mean that in a manly way. Take it for what it's worth. We're going to do more love for 2026. Less hate, more love. See, our youth was all filled full of love. We didn't have no hate. I mean, we did, there was no hate for anything. I mean, we just loved everything. And I'm talking about we'd love a doorknob if you we, we loved everything. Ain't that right, Connie? We was all about love. And well, we're going to get back to that where it's more more living, more living. They can have them other people can have the hate. And they can eat themselves up with it and waller around in it, and it makes them feel good. I know the people that really enjoy that kind of stuff. They can't get enough of misery. I mean, if something gets blowed up or something like that, and if especially they get killed right on your screen, right in your living room while you're watching TV and you see a brains blowed out of sight. Oh man, woo, that's a good one right there. No, we're going to spend 2026 trying to have the best year that we can. I'd like to go out of here feeling really good about myself. I don't want to go. I came to work one time. I'll tell you this little story. I came to work one day in the afternoon, 3:30 in the afternoon, and my manager came to me and said, "You got to get up to Harbor View Hospital. That's up in Seattle. One of our fellow compatriots was dying." And they said, "Cosmo is Kramer. Cosmo is Kramer." So they said, "Get up there in Harborview. He has requested you to be there." They were going to read his last rites to him. And me and him, we went back many years. When I got in there, he held my hand and he started telling me that it's up to me to keep America safe, and he won't be here to do it anymore. But he just died in a fit of anger. I've never seen so much rage in my life. And then he expired. I don't want to be that way. I am not going to be that way. So take it for what it's worth. Every once in a while, if you watch me long enough, I'll probably have a fit on the air. I do have occasionally like a pop off valve, where I just explode for a moment, but then I collect it all back up. More love, more living, less hate. That's going to make my life a whole lot better. And I'm going to try my best to make your life better as well. God love you, because old Mac does. Y'all have a wonderful evening, rest of the weekend, and we're going to wait for the water to go down, because I'm going to ride Tuesday. If it's raining or shining, I don't care. I've committed myself to go for a ride Tuesday. Bye bye, good humans.